So what happened on Rosh Hashana? What happened on Rosh Hashana? What are we celebrating on Rosh Hashana? What is the celebration? Rosh Hashana is a Yom Tov. What are we celebrating? So the Psikta, the Rav Kahana, which is a medrash, says, I'll bring it up for you guys, right here. Psikta, the Rav Kahana, it's a medrash, says, Tanya Rav Aliyah, I think that's how you pronounce it. Be'esrim v'chamisha be'elul nivra olam. On the 25th of Elul, the world was created. Nimtzis Omer. So what comes out of this is, you have to say that Rosh Hashana nivra adam arishon. Then on Rosh Hashana, man was created. It's the creation of man. That's what we're celebrating. But that's very interesting because at the same time, we say during Musaf, we say Hayom Haras Olam. We say that now, today is the creation of the world. Today is the day when the world was created. In addition, we say Zeh Yom, I think, Tchilas Ma'asecha, this is the beginning of your work. So is today the day when the world was created, or is Rosh Hashanah the day when man was created? So just a quick chazara on what we've been doing so far. We discussed how Hashem created this world, at least for us, the way we understand it. The Arizal speaks out, and the Ramchal says that Hashem created this world for the purpose of giving, bestowing goodness to another. That's why Hashem created this world. And therefore, if that's the case, the ultimate way of giving, the ultimate way of Hatava, Hashem wants to give with a capital T. Hashem wants to give the ultimate Tov, the ultimate good. And what is the ultimate good? The ultimate good is Himself. Hashem wants to give Himself because Hashem is perfect, Hashem is Shalom, Hashem is whole, He's full. And the experience of being connected to Hashem, the experience of being one with the Creator, being dovek, clinging to the Creator, being nullified within that oneness is the greatest experience of goodness and pleasure one could experience. And we discussed last time we daven so much on it. We're constantly mentioning Chaim, 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 Zochenu l'chaim, v'kosfenu b'sefer ha'chaim, u'chsob l'chaim, tovim l'kol b'nei b'risecha. We're constantly davening about Chaim. We're begging for life. And we spoke and we saw from the Ramchal that life doesn't just mean surviving. Life doesn't just mean getting by, breathing. Life means when one is growing, when one is productive, because Hashem, in His infinite wisdom, was Gazra B'chachmaso. He decreed with His wisdom that the ultimate way of one receiving this good is specifically through becoming the owner of that good. The difference between one just possessing something without having worked for it or accomplished and earning it, it's not the same. It's not the same pleasure. And we experienced that, and we were discussing last week that we all know that from our own personal lives, that when we work for something, it's like whatever we have in front of us is a part of us. It's like our offspring, and therefore we enjoy that much more as opposed to if it was just given to us. Others explain this concept as Nama de Kisufa would have been an embarrassing experience if it was just given to us. But the Ramchal says in addition that the reason why it has to be like this is because like and like attract. Similarity attracts. And that in order to be dovek, in order to be in a relationship, in order to be one with Hashem, we have to be on some way similar to Him, which is Hashem's intrinsically perfect. His oneness, His tov isn't just it doesn't just happen to be, but it's intrinsic to Him. And therefore, we have to have our perfection. We have to become independent, selfless givers. We have to become completely independent beings, perfect, or that's what we're striving for at least, which is a long goal, and we'll see how much we could see how much we could go for. I mean, the mission in Pirkei Avos says that it's not on us to finish the work. We just gotta go until we could go, and just try to work and grow. That the purpose of life is for us to acquire that shleimus, to own it, and therefore be similar to Hashem, and therefore and through that we engage in a relationship with Hashem. Through that we resonate with God. I mean, we gave the example last week, like let's say the way people connect is when they have similarity, when they have things to talk about, when they have things like if you have like a brother who's into art, music, and nature, and you're into business, there's not so much overlap, but automatically when, let's say, the business brother gets more into nature and gets more into art, gets more into music, automatically they will become closer because now they have more to connect over. That's just an example. And if that's the case, it's such beautiful. On the screen, I just see Reb Aish's face. It's amazing. So it's amazing. But let's continue. But it's Moedik. And if that's the case, man, what we're celebrating is the creation of man. Man, Adam, and really this goes for non-Jews and Jews alike, that Adam, Pesach is the celebration of Jews. Rosh Hashana is the celebration of Adam. The fact that Adam was created, the fact that Adam is the being that was meant, that the whole purpose of creation was designed for. And we'll see that in a second, that B'Tselem, Adam Nivra B'Tselem, Chaviv Adam Shenivra B'Tselem, or B'Tselmenu Kidmusenu, that Hashem created us B'Tselem, in his image, which means, as the Maharal points out on Pirkei Avos, that means that we have Bechira. And we'll see why that's important. But before we move on, I just wanted to, because we've been going through the Derech Hashem, so I wanted to just continue this process. Any questions so far? Here we go. Derech Hashem.
Where was Yoel last week? That's the question.
Oh, he's on. Wow, Gevalt, so good to see you. The best.
I got a notification. I almost forgot. Now I'm here.
Chaim. So let's continue. So this is the Derech Hashem. So he says, Acha Bria Ha'ikaris Ba'emes. The main creature, the main Bria, in truth, he Hamina Anoshi, is the human race. V'chol shar hanivram bein ha'gvon mimenu bein ha'shval mimenu einon elo ba'avuro. All creations, whether the lower creations or the higher creations, which are the angels, are all for man. It's all for the sake of man. La'ashlamos inyano, in order for him to perfect his inyan, to perfect himself. Fikola b'chinos harbos v'ashonos v'haruuyos mimotze b'hem. In every single aspect that is possible to find by man. Like we will see soon. And we said before that therefore, in order for one to earn this, in order for one to earn and acquire this good from one's own self, there needs to be a world which has lacking, which has bad, which Ra and Chison in the Ramchal's world, bad and lacking are the same. And just like wholeness and Tov are the same, because as we said, that when one feels whole, when one feels full, in whatever area, if one is healthy, that means he's not lacking in anything. When one has parnos, when one has wealth, it means he's not lacking. Ra would be if he's poor, or means he's lacking money, or he's lacking health, or he's lacking something. So within man, he has haskalah, the ability of intellect, meaning he has intellect, which would fall into that category is Torah and everything which goes with haskalah. And he has all the good attributes. That's perfection, which is there for the sake of a person becoming a more full being, a more independent, selfless being. The Baal HaSulam says, just the reason why I'm saying giver, because the Baal HaSulam says it in another language where he says that our avodah in this world is to be godly like, which means to become a giver. Just like Hashem's a giver, we have to become a giver, where we're not dependent on anyone, where we're not needy, where we're not takers, but rather we become selfless givers. And that's, we'll get into that a little later, which is the idea of really being Lishma, where the whole tachlis is Hashem's melech. I'm doing it for Hashem. I'm doing it because that's what Hashem said. I'm not doing this for myself so I receive pleasure. Whatever, we'll get into that. Vinyani Achomer, Midos Rose, and physicality and negative bad traits. That's the negative, that's the bad and the lacking that a person is placed in between. A person is placed in a world, which he's going to discuss right now. I'm just wanted to ease in that a person is placed within this.
Don't ease me in. Don't ease me in.
Don't ease. Don't ease. Don't ease. So let's just get in. The Ramchal says it better than me. So let's go. Let's continue. So B'chiras ha'adam, this is what it leads right into. B'chiras ha'adam, the fact that man has free choice. And the fact that man has free choice is what makes us different than every other bria. Kvar zacharnu, we already mentioned, we mentioned that man is the creation which was created for the sake of being one, clinging and being one with Hashem, which is also in the Ramchal's language, Deveikus and Tainug. Being one with Hashem and getting pleasure is the same thing. We're pleasure beings. And it's very important, meaning, and in Sifrei Chabad, they talk about it, that what's above Ratzon is Oneg, that really because Hashem created the world for us to get pleasure, our whole essence, what drives humanity at the very base is pleasure, because we want pleasure. So sometimes we go after lower pleasures, but there's higher pleasures, and the highest pleasure is being davek to Hashem. And man is placed between wholeness, perfection, good, and lack, bad, evil. And it is within man's hand to acquire this goodness. However, one of the main things is that it needs to be this acquiring of goodness and shleimus needs to be with bechira. It needs to be coming from his own choice and his own will. Because if it had to be that you had to choose good, that would not be, he would not be called the owner. He would not be called the Baal. He wouldn't be the owner of his shleimus. He wouldn't be the owner of his perfection, of his goodness. Because he's not the owner, because he had to choose that way. Therefore, man has to have bechira. That man has to have this free choice, which means that he has an equal pull towards two directions. And he's not forced to go in any direction. V'yev bo koach habechira libchor b'das u'b'chifetz be'ez mehem sheyirtza v'yecholas gam kim b'yodam liknos ez mehem sheyirtza. And it had to be that he could choose with his das whatever he wants. And therefore, that's why man has Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. That we are built, Elokai neshama shenasah to be Tahorahi, meaning we are placed, man, the definition of man in our context in this world is the free choice. That's where the game of man takes place, within free choice. We have our neshama, we have the Yetzer Tov, which drives for goodness, which wants goodness, which intuitively knows what's good. And then we have the nefesh, which the animal within us, which naturally, instinctually is drawn after negative, and it's up to us to decide. Why is this so important? We just said why it's very important, but gewalt. But the idea is, what we're celebrating on Rosh Hashana is man. Why are we celebrating man? Because man is the tachlis of all of creation. Man is the purpose of all of creation, and that's why we celebrate it as if it's the first day of creation, because every single thing in this world is created for man, is created for this being, which is us, to acquire and choose to engage in this relationship with Hashem through becoming more godly-like. And we're celebrating this. We're celebrating that we are the being, we are the people. We are the people that have this opportunity to really engage in this relationship with Hashem. Is that clear so far?
If it would be clear, then we wouldn't be here, right? Then I wouldn't. If he was gonna make it clear for us, the Ramchal, but then he's like, "Oh, you guys need your bechira also, so I won't explain it exactly how I know it. I'll tease you a little bit."
It's very deep. It's very deep. Probably that's the deepest. But I just wanted to say that, first of all, just to understand what bechira is, that bechira means, Reb Nachman says, and it's really the Rambam. I mean, I brought it down over here. Maybe we could, I don't want to do too much reading, unless you guys are interested. But that Reb Nachman says bechira has to be understood in its most basic form, which means that if you want anything, you can do it. You can do it. You could choose the way you want to perceive, the way you could choose, we could choose whether you want to perceive a certain situation in whatever way, meaning the circumstance is not what defines and what makes you do anything. It's up to you to choose how you want to relate to it. It's up to you to choose what you want to do in life. And Rav Nachman says to the point that bechira is so powerful that if you really choose something, usually it will happen. He says it will happen, but l'chaim, mamish, if you really, really want something, it's like within teva, that's the way Hashem created this world, that if you want it, it'll happen. And therefore, in Rosh Hashana, it's up to us to really choose and to realize and to appreciate this koach that we have. Just moving on, just to the next idea, because this is the question which we brought up, and I said we were saving it. So Rosh Hashana is a very interesting day. Rosh Hashana is a Yom Tov on one hand, because as we said, the tachas of the Bria was created, the whole, which is man. We were created on that day, which the whole purpose of all of creation was on that day, and we're celebrating the fact that we have that ability. We are that being, which is the one who has the capability of engaging in that relationship with Hashem. But at the same time, it's Yom Adin, which seems very intense. Meaning, how do these ideas coincide with each other? Meaning, we celebrate it like a Yom Tov. We celebrate Rosh Hashana as if it's a Yom Tov. It has all of the halachas of Rosh Hashana. We have a chiyuv in Suda. You have to eat, you have to feast. You have the chiyuv in Malbush, you have to dress properly. And in davening, it includes various shiros, sishpachos, praises to Hashem, in nigunim, like meaning there's very high nigunim, very special nigunim, the highest. And at the same time, it's Yom Adin, which seems very intense, meaning what's the feeling we should be experiencing? Should we be excited? Should we be scared? Should we be happy? Should we be sad? What? Meaning what? Nervous? So before we move on, I just want to bring the first pasuk of the Torah with a fascinating Rashi. So the first pasuk in the Torah says, "Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'asaretz." I don't like the charisma. When God began to create heaven and earth, in the beginning, Bereshis, or with Rashis, however Rashi goes through it, bara Elokim, Hashem created es hashamayim v'asaretz, the heavens and the earth. Rashi says, bara Elokim. It says that Elokim created the world. V'lo nemar bara Hashem. And it doesn't say that Hashem created the world. Why? Shebetchila all b'machshavo livrosa b'midas hadin. Because at first, when Hashem first wanted to create the world, Hashem wanted to create the world with the midah of din. Ra'ah, Hashem saw she'ein ha'olam miskayim. Hashem saw that the world would not exist. So therefore, hikdim midas rachamim b'shitva l'midas hadin. Therefore, he put forth the midah of rachamim and joined it with the midas of with the midah of judgment. He joined mercy with judgment. And this is what it's written. Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim. I think it's a pasuk in Tehillim, could be, or it's in somewhere in Tanakh, that it says that it puts Hashem before Elokim, which represents mercy. So what's going on over here? Hashem first created the world. He wanted to create it with Midas Hadin, and then he shifted in his mind. What, Hashem changed his mind? Hashem first, let's start with Midas Hadin, and then, I don't know if I'm so into it. Let's go back to let's join Rachman with it. Meaning, what's going on over here? So let's understand, what is din? What is din? Why is din so important? Why did Hashem want to create this world with din? So if we understand, if we go back to every single thing that we've been saying, that the ultimate hatava, that the ultimate goodness is Hashem creating a world where we earn it, where we accomplish, where we choose it, to engage in that relationship, when we choose to become godly-like from our own self. That's the highest hatava, right? That's what we've been saying. That's the highest form of, that's the highest bestowment of goodness that Hashem could do. Because acquiring it and owning it, it becomes part of you. It's a part of you in a way which is different than just happening to possess it. And we know that from our own experience in life. So if that's true, din is what gives us the ability. Din is what gives us the ability to have bechira. Din is what gives us the ability to become independent beings without being forced by God. Because what is din? Din means that we're 100% accountable and responsible for our actions. Din means that it's up to us. We could choose whatever we want. You want to choose To be a tzaddik, it's up to you. You want to do good, it's up to you. And being responsible and accountable and earning it is only because din. Is only because din exists. Meaning without din, it's a free gift. It's a free gift. Din is what makes us responsible for our actions, as opposed to rachamim. Rachamim says, you did bad, okay, fine, I'll give it to you anyways. But din is what gives us the ability to earn and accomplish and to grow and to be productive and to really choose from a completely independent place. Because without it, it's just a freebie. And if that's true, and that's why Hashem at first wanted to create this world with din. Hashem wanted to create this world with judgment because really, if we were able to handle it, that would have been the biggest bestowment of goodness possible. Because it would have been completely ours. It would have been us choosing to engage in that relationship with Hashem. It would have been ours. It wouldn't have been with anyone helping us. It would have been our choice. And if we would have engaged in that, it would have been the highest form of hatava possible. However, Hashem saw that we're human beings and we're wild. So it won't work. But din is what gives us the ability to grow and to earn and to accomplish. Because without it, it's just all a gift. It's all free. And we don't become the owners to that. And therefore, Rosh Hashana is the celebration of din. Rosh Hashana is when we say we're so happy. It's the chag of responsibility. It's the chag when we say we want to be responsible for our actions. We want to grow. We want to choose. We want to have free choice. We don't want just for you to create a world where we're just born into that relationship with you. We want the highest form of relationship, which is us engaging in that relationship when we choose you as melech from us, from our own self. Din is what gives us the ability to be responsible, is what gives us the ability to be accountable, that it's up to us. We could grow. We could be productive. We could do whatever we want. And that's only because din exists. Bechira only exists because there is din. Because if not, if we weren't responsible for our actions, so then it would have been a gift, meaning it's not us choosing, we're going to get it anyways. Din is what gives us the ability to really earn. It's so deep. And therefore in Rosh Hashana, and this is what we were saying before, that Rosh Hashana is all about choosing, and we're going to go, hopefully tomorrow we're going to go through a piece from the Kutei Halachos, which says that this idea goes through what we've been doing in the Ramchal in his way, which is very special. That Rosh Hashana, it's us declaring to Hashem that it's all about what do we live for? We want to be living, we're choosing on Rosh Hashana that we love din. We want to engage in a relationship with you from our own free choice. We want to grow because we're growing. We don't want the free gift. Most people, when they're davening for Chaim, and that's what we were discussing last time, when most people are davening for life, they're davening for Nama, the Kisufa, they're davening that just give me all the goodness. But really, the ultimate goodness is us having the ability to overcome challenges, for us having the ability to grow, for us having the ability to move forward. The Zohar says, that we say in the pasuk says, Ashrei ha'ol yodei sruah. We say this is one of the psukim that we say after we blow the shofar. That praiseworthy is the nation that knows a truah. That knows truah. And the Zohar says, what is a truah? Truah is a kvetch. It's a. Praiseworthy is the nation that appreciates what it means to grow, what it means to engage and to earn and to accomplish and to become bigger people and to become more productive. Praiseworthy is that. Praiseworthy is the one that really wants to engage in a real obvious that Hashem, you're the Melech. I want to work for you. I want to do for you. I live to grow. I live to accomplish. I live to become a bigger person. And like it's like what Rav Yehuda Segal and Rav Berkowitz quotes is that he said that the Gemara says Noach lo la'adam shelo nivra. I mean, there's a debate in the Gemara that is it easier for man? Is it to be created or not to be created? And Noach means easier. Of course, it's the best thing in the world. We're so grateful that we're created, and we're so grateful that we have the ability to grow and to accomplish and to work through things and to really become the owners of whatever we accomplish to be, that's us. We're doing it, obviously with Siyata Dishmaya, but it's us. That was the paradox we've been talking about. But from the standpoint of Bechira, it's all us. Din is it's about us. Rosh Hashana, we're saying we live to grow. We live. That's what we live for. We live for Chaim, true Chaim. We want to become Shleimim. We want to grow. We want to work on ourselves. Rosh Hashana is all about clarifying, what do we live for? What do we live for? And we're celebrating. We're tapping into the idea of celebrating Din, celebrating the fact that we are held accountable for our actions. And Mamish, just like this idea that we've been discussing, now's the time really to work on it, to really focus on, meaning think about it like what feels better within our own life, meaning when we work for something and we accomplish and we earn it and we put in that effort, it feels so good. It feels so good. And I'm talking to myself right now because there's a part of me because come on, just go chill. But there's the deeper part of me knows that feeling of growing is a much higher sense of tainug. And we have to develop taste buds. Rosh Hashanah is about developing, meaning like for fine wine in the beginning, it's bitter. But once you appreciate it, or beer, anything, all the delicacies, they're not like the sweet, it's not candy. You have to develop the taste for it. And in going into Rosh Hashanah, I'm talking to myself, I have to develop a taste for growing, the joy. Think about the times in our lives where we've grown and where from our work and from our offspring, meaning what we created, how much more enjoyable was that experience as opposed to when we were just given that, whatever it is. Yeah, Mamash, we should be zeicha. We should be zeicha to, and as we said before, from
Amen.
To really want it. Now to really want it. It's a time to really, Ratzon is the ikr, as we're going to be talking about tomorrow. But especially in Rosh Hashanah, it's Asher Usham, meaning it's about what are you living for? And now's the time to really just develop that and to cultivate that, meaning what feels better. Think about it. Is is there any questions? Anyone have anything to say?
Schar mitzvah, ain't l'davar kitzvah, chop another mitzvah. Hey, hey. Olam hazeh, u'mesaven le'olam haba.
What a nigga.
That was awesome. I'm saying Ellie's singing as well, but
no, everything. It's having everyone together is the highest. Yeah, mamish, mamish, know how to grow, just to appreciate it. It's so good. It's so good when we're productive. It really does feel good. It really does feel good. It feels good. I'm talking to myself. Come on, it does, huh? It feels good.
So we pull our nefesh into the fold, and we try to convince him ourselves that that's what we truly want. And it sounds what you're saying is on Rosh Hashana we're celebrating responsibility. We're celebrating that ability to bring our nefesh on board, and hey, let's do it for the higher purpose.
It's meaning we're celebrating the fact that man. It's two things that we're celebrating. Meaning it's celebrating man, which is the being which has the ability to earn. But the only way we have the ability to earn is because there's the midah of din. Without din, it would just be free. Din makes us responsible. Din makes us accountable. Makes what we do, it's up to us. It's up to us to choose. Din is what gives us the ability to have bechira. And so we're celebrating that as well. We're celebrating that. And by the way, as we were talking about before, that like all the energy, that it's a repetitive cycle, meaning that Hashem instilled within the Bria certain energies, and the energy of Rosh Hashana is life, is but true life, Chaim Tovim, which is when man was created. It's like we're renewed, but it's the energy of what do we live for? It's life. What is Chaim? What is our Chaim? Do we want to tap into real life, which is really accomplishing and becoming bigger, better people? Or is it just surviving? It's the energy which is...
I want to be a bigger, better person. I don't want to just survive.
Me too. Me too, Mamish. We should be Zaycha.
Baruch Hashem.
But I just wanted to say also, with Shmuel said, it's even on Rosh Hashana, it's not even necessarily about dragging your nefesh. You know, that's the avoidable later on. It's about really getting clear. Up here, what do you live for? It's up in the Rosh, meaning it's really having clear. Okay, we don't do it. Rosh Hashana has nothing to do with Meisim. That's Yom Kippur. What we actually do, that's not what we're worried. We're not worried about on Rosh Hashana with our actions, our negative actions, what we did, how's our nefesh doing. On Rosh Hashana, it's all about where am I at? What do I want from life? What do I live for? Do I live for Hashem? Is Hashem the Melech? We're going to talk about that more later on, meaning what do I live for? It's about getting our mind aligned with what Hashem wants. As opposed to, it's the foundation of everything. It's the foundation of tshuva. And that's why the Rambam actually puts in, or maybe one of the reasons why Bechira, the whole idea of Bechira is within Hilchos Tshuva and the Rambam. Because Bechira, understanding that we have the ability to choose whatever direction we want, whatever we want, is the foundation. It's the fundamental. We could change. We could change. We could choose. And it's really to get clear.
So
What do we live for?
if it's the celebration of Din, right? How can we call it Yom HaZikaron in the davening? It's called Yom HaZikaron. It's not Hag Hadin. It's Yom HaZikaron. What are we remembering with? And how does the remembrance part feed into the Din?
I mean, Yom HaZikaron, I don't know if it's talking about us. I think it's talking about Hashem. That Zichronos, the idea of that Hashem remembers, or Hashem looks at the whole world and he judges.
Well, that's the Din.
That's the Din. That's Mamish the Din. That's Zichronos, that Hashem sees everyone's ma'asim, every single to the little details. Meaning, if you go through what the machshor, every little thing, if you go through Zichronos and Musaf, that it's remembering isn't necessarily for Hashem. It's not forgetting and remembering. It's like bringing to Hashem's like attention, so to speak. Like it's there. But I don't think it's our.
That he's remembering us, though.
Exactly.
His creations.
Exactly.
And he's reviewing his creations just like a boss reviews your performance.
That's right.
That's the whole idea, I guess.
Yeah. Yashar koach, everyone.